knock something over.
So yeah, once you've gone live, then we're good. And good evening, good evening, good evening. We're here for our final session of After Dark for the year. Final session of this season and final session of the year. The 17th of December. Why is that date significant to me? I don't quite know. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. It's an important date, but I can't remember why it's important. But important in that we've got Christmas coming. And it's going to be Christmas very soon. Christmas is in a week. Is it a week? It's in a week. Of Christmas in a week's time. But Christmas is not a great fun day for everyone. I love Christmas. What I like most about Christmas is that I'm not at work and I'm relaxing and I've got the remote and I can watch all sorts of dramas, and I don't watch so much thrillers much. I used to watch a lot of thrillers. I used to like thrillers a lot more than dramas, but now it's kind of more drama than thriller for me. Maybe it's my age. When it goes bang, oh, whereas before it never bothered me. But anyway, but for so many, for so many, this time of the year, it's not a happy time. And that's what we're going to be exploring. We touched on it last week. We touched on it last week.
You did.
And talked about really a lot of loneliness and grief. But we felt that there was still more that could be explored. We could look a little bit more, delving into grief a little bit more. And we have, as a special guest this evening, we have a counsellor in.
Ooh.
Yeah. Is that a counsellor or a counsellor? We have a counsellor in, I think. We have a counsellor in who's going to talk to us and give us a few tips. Some pointers on grief and how we navigate this sort of time, as it could be a bit of a grievous time. So, Eleni,
Yes, I'm here.
good evening, and Eleni's coming through on Zoom. So keep the conversation going. The WhatsApp number is 0745 964 2898. I'll say that again. 0745 964 2898. So keep the conversation going. Feel free to drop us a line, be part of the conversation as we try to navigate this time. A happy time, but it can be a sad time for some.
Can I just add in the bit that I think the significance necessarily isn't necessarily, I said that too many times, Christmas, but it's the fact that it's any public or any big celebration that draws you back to remembering that someone is not present for it. So I guess
Okay.
so I guess I'm giving the space for the techniques that anyone may learn today or from the discussion,
Yeah.
that they can actually utilize it. Yes, it's Christmas coming up, but actually if it's a birthday or if it's Valentine's or
Yeah.
if it's Easter or if it's St. George's Day or whatever it
Yes.
is, that it was a significant, it meant something significant to you and someone else, that it could cover the same thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And there's various things that also we can grieve for, because when we think about the word grief, a lot of people attribute grief to death, but actually it could be the death of a marriage. It could be the death of a friendship, the death of, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
And do you grieve in the same way over the death of a friendship, a death of a pet, or a death of a whatever, as you would the death of a marriage? Is that? I get that you can grieve over those things, but would you Would you grieve over those things in the same way?
I would say yes. However, we have an expert in the room, so I would like to. Can we bring in the expert?
Yeah, we can, although she said she was at pains to tell me not to call her an expert.
Oh, sorry.
I did indeed.
I didn't get the script. Sorry.
I did indeed. I did indeed. So, will you experience it in the same way? You can do, but the thing
yeah.
go ahead, Mark.
No, go on then. Experience it in the same. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go with that. Yes, let's go.
Yeah, you could. But the thing to note is to start at this place. Loss is universal. So all over the world, any type of system, there is loss. Any type of country, however the country is set up, as long as you have human beings in the mix, you're going to have loss.
Right.
But grief, on the other hand, is individual. It's personal.
Yeah.
So two people, so let's take a family. A parent dies. The siblings will experience, they've all experienced the loss,
yeah,
but the grief now is individual and it's personal. So how to look at it is that loss is an event or it is change, whereas grief is our response to the event. So it's going to be individual. It's going to be very individual.
Okay, so we've all experienced the loss.
Mm.
So would I say that I experience grief? We all experience grief. It just manifests itself in different ways. Or would you say that Mark may not have experienced any grief? Or is it just that we've all experienced it because we had a loss, but it just manifests itself differently in different people?
Yes, indeed, differently. So by the time you get to adulthood, you will have known somebody that died, you would have lost something. It might even be a pet as a child. So you would have experienced you've experienced the loss, and it's how it hits you. In simple terms, the loss is what happened, and the grief is how we experienced it.
Right. Yeah, I must say, long before I went on my course, long before I was, Charlie, don't laugh. Long before I went on my course, I remember that a friend of mine had a cat. I was young, she was younger, and her cat died, and she told me that she was off work for a week, and I fell apart. And now, having been on the course, I realized that wasn't quite the right response.
I feel like you need a refresher of the course.
Refresher course needed.
I think you need a refresher.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Do you think I need a refresher, Eleni?
Yes.
You think I do?
Perhaps,
based on what I've just said, or based on what you know of me?
Perhaps you do. You know, the loss of the cat, although it might seem to you and I like, but it was your cat and you needed to take a whole week off work.
Yeah.
It's what that cat meant to her and meant to the family. So that's why it had a big impact on her.
Yeah.
It may have changed something significant in her life for her. And this is why I say grief is individual.
Yeah. And that's what reminded me of the story when you said it was so individual. It reminded me of that story, actually. I mean, I wouldn't do it now. I wouldn't laugh. I wouldn't laugh in your face now, Charlie.
In your face.
So Charlie's got a few messages coming through already.
Right. So we have Sharon with us. Good evening, Sharon. She says, grief at this time of the year can be more pronounced as it emphasizes the fact that loved ones whom you used to share this time with are missing.
Yeah.
Dawn says, good evening, Charlie, Mark, and Eleni J. Sharon then goes on to say, it depends on the significance you add to the thing or person you are grieving. Excellent example of explanation of loss and grief, EJ, and I agree with that. And then she continues to say, yes, Mark, you need a refresher as you're laughing about the cat.
No. Who's that? That's Sharon. So, listen, Sharon, no, I laughed about it then. And I'm laughing about the fact that I laughed about it then now. I'm not laughing about the cat now. So
Donna's added, she's asked, and and Eleni, what she's asked is, can we also please touch on anticipatory grief,
Oh,
the long
anti
goodbye as I
anticipatory grief. Yeah,
and sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
my pronunciation.
No, no, no. I was just reading the word myself. That's all.
Is it? You said it different to I, but
Yeah, but
anyway.
that's the way I would have said it. It
No
doesn't matter.
problem. The long goodbye, as I was told to expect when you are a carer for a loved one who has dementia and Alzheimer's.
Wow. Yeah.
That's tough because you are grieving from. I had that experience. So somebody very close to me was very ill and was likely to not make it.
Mm.
And it was my sister, and she said to me one day, I can't see mum and dad anymore in my mind.
Oh,
And at that point, that's when I started to grieve the loss, because we've grown up together. We know what mum and dad look like. We don't need to look at a photograph to bring them up in our minds. And she said, I can't see mum and dad anymore. I can't bring them up in my mind. She'd have to look at a picture to know what her parents looked like. So actually, for me, the grief actually started then, because I knew that she was being affected. And that is tough, because at that point, you're also expected to be hopeful.
Oh.
So people around you expect you to be hopeful and to act as if the person's going to continue to live, and maybe there's going to be an intervention and a miracle or a cure of somehow. And at that point, you may know within yourself that they're going.
Yeah.
So my grief started early, actually, even though I was praying and I was hoping. I started to feel that there was now a separation, because actually my sister couldn't see her parents anymore in her thoughts, so it is tough. And it's at that point that you're stuck between two places, but you do need to take care of yourself. Maybe you need to take those thoughts to somebody and say, this is what I feel. I feel that my sister, my loved one, whatever, is going. They're, sometimes people use the word traveling, but that's a lot later, once they're, very, very ill. And you may need to take that somewhere so that you can privately talk about those feelings and still manage, while you're still trying to be hopeful, and you're still being there for the person who is ill, and you're still supporting them, you're still loving on them and doing what you can. It's a difficult place to be in. I didn't go to anybody at that time. It was difficult to think about, but in my mind, I do remember that was when that period of time started. So I would say to the person that asked the question, it's okay to seek somewhere to take that at that time, if you need that support, even though the person may have not gone at the time, but they may be terminal and you're expecting them to die. Yeah.
I've got a few more comments that are coming, but I think one of the things that I also struggle with is, as a faith or people of faith, sometimes we are the less comforting at that point, because an individual is going through so much emotion, so many emotions at that point. They're seeing their loved ones dying, and I remember a scenario where we were praying for someone who was terminal, and the lady who was leading out on the prayer was very, very very clear. If you have no, and she was using biblical scriptures as well, if you have no faith that this person will be healed, leave the room now. If you have no faith, come out of the room, because our prayers today are going to be heard. And because our prayers are going to be heard, those without faith need to leave the room. And I feel that there's times when we use scripture, sometimes we take it out of context, sometimes we batter with the scripture sometimes, but we sometimes need to allow people to to go through their cycle.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a difficult one. And then again, it's an individual situation and what the family, the close family members or spouse or children
Mm.
want or need at that time is important too.
Mm,
Mm.
Um, that's also important, and we need to consider that.
mm,
Because
So,
you might
so
be there wanting to pray, and everybody else at that time just might want some calmness. They want that bit of so you have to read the room if you're leading some prayer or some a service for somebody who's dying. You're
you
going to
say
say, Mark?
so you
go.
say so you say that, but you remind me of a time when I had visited a family that were grieving, and culturally, it's someone comes into the room as the it's like the hired mourner.
Mm-hmm.
So this individual came into the home and literally sat in the middle of the room, in the corner of the room, and cried and was just crying, crying out loud, crying, crying, crying. And I remember saying to my friend, "Who is she?" And she says, "I don't know." And the kids, she's upsetting the kids and everybody else around because she's just sitting in here crying. And then she was like, "Oh, is there any food to eat?" But she said it's cultural, but it's not needed right now, and it's not what we want right now in the home. But because it was a cultural thing, she couldn't get away from it.
But is that actually grief? I mean, I see you've got a question there, and I see you've got a question over here as well. So, but is that actually grief? That's another thing. That's another thing. That person that came in and like the hired mourner, because they're not really experiencing the loss. Like, look at the question we had from Dawn there when she said anticipatory grief. That's a you can see the loss coming. You're actually starting to feel the loss because you can see that they're going. As Eleni said that when she saw that her sister couldn't conjure up certain images in her mind, that for Eleni meant that she could see loss already. So she started to grieve. This person here now, the hired mourner, isn't actually grieving. They're performing on stage, aren't they? Yeah. So it's not quite the same thing. What you got some?
Some of the questions that have come in. So Sharon continued to say, "I had heard the mirth in your voice," and then she says, "After my mum died, and my dad was seriously ill, I experienced
Anticipatory.
grief as I was mourning the fact that dad might not make it so soon after losing mum."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have Yvonne that's coming. Good evening, Yvonne. She said, "Touching topic. Question, please. How can younger children be helped with the topic with someone in palliative care from a faith perspective, in understanding loss from a young child and complicated trauma from the grown adults?"
Okay, so they're in different directions. So let's take them one at a time. So Sharon says, I experienced anticipatory grief as I was mourning the fact that dad might not make it so soon after losing mum, and that comes back to the point I made just earlier about you've got this whole you are actually grieving you've got this sense of loss because what you can see is not someone at 100% as you've known them all the time. So you're already experiencing a loss and you're grieving that loss. I remember way back in 1982, my father came over to visit. It was for a family wedding, and there was something that needed to be taken care of, whatever it was. And and my brother said, my dad jumped up to go, and my mother said, no, Dad, we'll take care of it. You sit down. And then a little after that, I saw my dad sitting in the corner, sort of a bit teary. I said, "What?" And my brother was just going, "Shh, shh, shh, leave it." So I thought they'd had a little bit of a Barney or a little. And what he said later that night was, no, it just, my dad started to grieve because he could see, whereas he for however many years being the go-to man to jump up and sort it out, he realized that he was no longer the person to go and sort it out. And he was grieving his own loss, his own demise, slow demise. So it's just when you start to put that with some of the points that was mentioned there, and Sharon made that point, that anticipatory. So he had that anticipatory loss of himself. Wow.
That's loss of independence.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
grieving
yes.
the loss of his independence and ability to be the one to sort it out, and maybe some physical loss as well.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can cast your mind back that far, Lainey, but that was, I mean, he was still a strong man. He was still a man, strong and da-da-da. But for whatever it was that needed to be sorted, my brother said, no, Dad, you sit. We'll sort it. And that, it wasn't a physical strength thing, but wow. Then Yvonne said something about, she said about how would you deal with the children on this? So you're taking us down a different road here a little bit, but it's still good fun, good talk, good conversation.
Children, yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
So children, explaining loss and death to children is can be a challenge, can be very difficult. And I would say use what the child knows already, what they understand already. It depends on the age and experience and knowledge of the child. The child might understand death and dying because they lost a pet.
Yeah.
And they understand that this pet, this animal was alive, and now they're not alive anymore, and we had to take them somewhere, like maybe to the garden, and bury them in the garden. So it's going to be very individual, but use what they know already, what they understand already. I went to a funeral once, and the father a baby had died in their family, and they had other children, and the baby didn't live 6 months, so maybe a few months old. And the father wrote a little verse, some poetry for the family or for the funeral. And this was for the older children, his way of trying to comfort them. And he explained that he talked about the child being in heaven because they understood the concept of this world is not my home, and we're going to end up in heaven. So they understood that, and he explained that they would see their brother again, but it was in heaven. And some adults took umbrage with that.
Oh.
They took umbrage, and then I took umbrage with them because I thought, no, hold on. He's explaining to his children, the other children, something that they understand already, which is when you die, that's not necessarily the end of your existence. And we're all trying to go to heaven. And when we go to heaven, we'll see. So that's what he used. Now, they were growing and they grew up and they understood that their brother was in a grave. But at that time, that's what he needed to tell them, because he used their understanding of what they knew already. That was how he could deal with it at the time, to explain to his children.
I think that's a very fair way of dealing with it. Because if you look at Yvonne's question, she said, question please, how can younger children be helped with the topic with someone in palliative care? So I think that is exactly how they can be helped with that topic, because they're in palliative care. You can explain to them what's happening, that they're going to heaven, because the question was asked of a young child. It wasn't how do you go through this whole thing of theology and the state of the dead and da 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 da. I think that sometimes we get people of faith, but she asked that question and then she said from a faith perspective. So she asked that question almost like she would expect, or she wouldn't be surprised that people from a faith perspective would have a totally different outlook on maybe your friend or the person that you know and the way that they explained it. And I think sometimes we get too. No, the word that came to me was officious. I don't know that I want to use that word officious, but we get too officious.
You know what?
Yeah.
And I've shared that. I've shared that before in relation to myself. I was at a family home. This loved one had just died, and the comment was made to me, "Oh, but I'm just so happy that they're in a better place now. And they're looking down from heaven at us." And every single bit of my Adventist heritage jumped on my back at that point, and it came out of my mouth, and I was like, "The dead know nothing." And it was almost like I felt the hand hand of my angel went whootchum across my face, like, this is not the time
Yeah.
to give anyone a Bible study on the state of the dead. Let people so that let and
Yeah.
it's not about letting people in the ignorance or anything else, but it's like
Letting them grieve.
it's not, it wasn't
Yeah.
the time or place.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the time or the place. You need to use where the child is, where the level of their understanding.
Yeah.
And if the father had said, because there were just people that I knew, so I knew a little bit about background, but if the father had said, well, we're going to put your brother in the ground to children who are 3 and 4, and then we're going to drive away and leave them in the ground, in the cold ground at the cemetery. Do you know? So you have to use the knowledge and of what the child has, and there is literature out there. There are books that help you to explain death and dying to children. Years ago, when I trained as a counsellor, many years ago, I started it in the area of grief and loss, and there was this little book about water bugs and butterflies, and it explained, and I used to use it at that time for that charity cruise bereavement, and I used it at that time because it just gave an understanding in a very, very pleasant way about loss, about death and dying, and the sort of cycle of life, really. And that can help children understand. It's also, if that person who's dying is in palliative care, maybe, if it's possible to take some pictures, or to keep something alive of the experience and the relationship with the child and the person who's dying, if it was a grandparent or whoever it is in their life, so that it's a memory, because they're going to remember anyway. So you can do quite a bit to keep that memory going, and maybe even after the person has passed, a little journal with pictures in it, or words that person used to say, whatever. Go with what the child can understand and what is pleasant to them, and just keep an eye on that as well, because you might start saying something, or adults around them are saying things that they might find really difficult. So keep an eye on the child, or the children at that time, and go with what they can manage.
Okay. I'm just reading this one here. I've got Angela McFarlane. Good evening, Angela. She says, good evening, ARL family. When my granddaughter's elderly cat died, I recommended a storybook about the leader of an animal pack, how that leader of the animal pack died in preparation for the loss. So I think that's sort
Yeah,
of bringing
that's
it all
great.
together about where are they at this point. Where are they at this point? That's the important thing, is that you deal with them where they are at and what they can handle at that point. Have you got anything else?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Dawn says, "Oh, they're very much alive, but didn't recognize you anymore. So you're mourning the loss of
Yeah.
parents you grew up with."
Yeah.
And I think that manifests, that is strong, because it doesn't necessarily have to be dementia or anything else that will make you grieve the loss of a parent you grew up with. That's a variety of traumas that could do that. Sharon then says, having worked with dementia clients and their families, grieving the loss of identity is common when your parent with dementia is a completely different person because of the disease.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to say scrapbooking is useful when preparing for someone to die.
Yes, indeed.
So a memory box.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. That's what I was saying with the children. You can do that, but you can do that with an adult, with around an adult as well. And just watch for. I see these videos of people finding one thing in the member of the family, their parents. I see these videos with parents, and the the parent doesn't remember who everybody is, but there's just one thing that seems to switch something on for them. It could be a song, a little game, or something. And then they suddenly remember who you are. And that can have, it's a special moment, and if you can record that moment, diarize it, take a picture, something, it's a beautiful thing. It's a memory because this person is so special to you and they've lost their abilities, and you get an opportunity, and generations after, to take the best of who they were and hold on to that, and to be able to preserve that, if you like.
Okay, so I'm looking at this now, and I'm thinking specifically of this holiday season coming up. But as Charlie said, it can be at any period of time where a loved one would be with that loved one, and they are now not there. I guess it manifests itself as Christmas and things like that, and Thanksgiving in the States, ever, because the family would gather together at that time. But it says here, some of the things you can do to help managing your grief. But before I go down to my list, I know that there was a very interesting program that you, Len, was part of at Balham a few weeks ago, and we've talked about where the child is and what they can handle. And one thing that did strike me at that discussion, it was an AY, so all of the same similar faith then, but different places that we can be. And some were saying things as strong as, they're dead, they're gone, move on, not ignore them, but they're dead, they're gone, move on, and don't do anything to behave as if they're still alive, i.e., hello, mom, morning, mom, da da da. So, yeah, and then some were totally the opposite of that they were going as far as setting a place for them at the table. So and of course the different camps were not warring, but they were giving their strong reasons of both sides why. So it's a very difficult one, but whichever side you come down on, or whichever side that if you feel that you still want to be able to say hello, mom, hello, dad, whatever, or you feel like you must not call their name because they are dead, there is a lot of loss and grief that is still going on. There is a lot of grief, and maybe some of them do these things purely to help them get through the grief. Purely to help them they understand that I'm setting a chair and a table at the table and my mom isn't coming, but I need to do that to get through work through my grief. And some of them that say, no, if I call her name, if you ever call her name, it just brings me back. I need to forget that name and move on. That's them getting through their grief. So I think we can be a little hard on each other if we understand that is what is going on. That means, to me, in our own little way, we are saying, come. Grief period is over now. Fall back into line with us at work and with everybody else. So, I've got a message here from Martin Filbert. Interesting discussion. The value of occasional silence and sitting with someone in quiet solidarity cannot be overstated. Martin, I think you're 100% right.
Absolutely. And
Martin, if you've just come on, I don't know if you were there from the beginning but only just commented. Eleni made that point where she said that even sometimes somebody might be there saying, "Come, let's pray, let's pray, let's pray," and if the family, that is not even what the family needs at that time, they just want someone to sit with them at that time. So I don't know if you heard her say that earlier, and you're only just getting around to commenting, or if you've just come on. But that was a very strong point that, especially as people of faith, and we want the Lord as center of everything that we do. We're there and we're grieving and we're mourning the loss, and we say, "Come, everybody, come, we'll sit around and get round. We're going to pray now." And the occasional silence and sitting with someone in quiet solidarity cannot be overstated. Martin said, "Yeah, he just joined, so he didn't hear that." So
I absolutely. Can I come back on that? Can I just say, this is, and Martin's talking about beforehand. And that's true. But after the person has gone as well, it can't be understated. Sitting, you see, we want to do something.
Yeah.
We feel that somebody's hurting and they've lost, and we want to do something, and we want to say something.
Yeah.
Often we want to say something. I don't know if it's people of faith that and everybody else that, but we want to say something, and often it's
comfort.
For comfort, we want to bring the person comfort. We want to reassure them. So there's an urge to say something that we think is going to make a difference. And when somebody has just died, a lot of what we say isn't actually going to make a lot of difference to them at that time. But sitting with them, and spending quiet time with them, is comforting. Your presence is more important than your words at that time. Just your presence. And there are some practical things that you can do. For example, if you come around to a person's house, some countries call it the death house. So the death house.
Somebody at the AY did mention that, didn't they? You said
death house.
The dead house.
The dead house, so that the house where somebody has died is the interpretation. That is something that can help the family. You being there, you could sit, but you could offer. A person might have children. You could offer to iron the school clothes or whatever. You could do something practical, wash up dishes or whatever needs doing. So you can ask, look around, see if there's anything that you can offer to do, and offer to do that and take care of it.
Yeah. Okay. You got some more?
I've got presence is something. Oh no, before presence, fanning triggers that ignite memory is key. And then again, Sharon says presence is something more important than pronouncement, filling the gap with words.
Yes. But I think we've got a bit of a quorum on that one, haven't we?
I think
can't handle silence, and a lot of people find it very uncomfortable. Just to sit in silence.
Yeah, they do. I can give you a story. And my brother recently recounted this in an AYS in a meeting. So when my father died, we had the traditional people coming round, and mainly in the evening, there would have been quite a lot of people. So there was a lot of family, and we come from a huge family. So a lot of people coming around in the evening. During the day, it tended to be more quiet. So it'd be the odd person who would pop in. And there was this one brother, and, I have to say, first of all, that we know him has been a person who's, he's not gentle, but he's well-meaning.
Okay.
So he was sitting there in the dining room, and I was around, and my mother was in the dining room, and he was sitting there, and my mom was just sitting quiet. That's what she needed at the time. And he got uncomfortable with the silence because he would normally be speaking, and if there were other people there, he would have been talking to them. And he just sort of sighed and went, "Oh, well, at least you get him off your hand." And Charlie's eyes. And we laugh about it now, but at the time it's like, did he really say that? And my mum was with, how you can say that? My mum was incensed. She thought, how can you say a thing like that? I've just lost the love of my life. But he didn't know what to say. And sometimes when we don't know what to say, we say things that are just dumb, or we say, they're not appreciated. We say the wrong thing. He just said, oh, well, at least you get him off your hand. And, my mum then explained that I never even told you that I needed to get my husband off my hands. But
Angela McFarlane has just said, "Is he mad?" So this is it. I mean, it goes to the point that Sharon was making over there, that Martin made. I think we've got a bit of a consensus on it, really.
Oh yes, for sure.
It's not that we need to make a pronouncement, and sometimes we feel that we need. And as Charlie says, we're saying just keep quiet, but some people, in the same way that we need the silence, they can't handle the silence.
Yeah, some people can't.
We need to figure what's going on here.
And also, can I just say what we do sometimes as well, and depending on the circumstances, just be aware that the person at the time may not be able to recount everything that's happened, especially it's a sudden and unexpected death. The circumstances are really tragic. There may be the law, the police involved, and etc. And people want you to recount the details. So what happened? So when was it? So Monday, but last week or so. And they want the detail. And it really isn't necessary for us to get the detail, those surrounding the detail at that time, going to maybe to visit somebody of what happened.
Yeah.
I understand why people want to, because often they can't make sense of it. Yeah. We need to death is harsh. We need to make sense. How did this happen? This was a young man I saw last week, and they were in the flow of their life and they were fine. And now suddenly you're telling me they're not here. So people want to know what actually happened. And coming to a house and asking a lot of questions isn't the time. We can find those things out later. Just being there to comfort and your presence being known, being practical if there's anything that needs done is really what people need, because they will then have to tell the story 50, 60, 70 times through everybody that comes through the door. And that can be wearying, physically and emotionally.
Recently, I heard someone speaking about grief, and they said that, what are your intentions? So to the person who wants to reach out, to the person who wants to go to the family home, what are your intentions? Is it about you, or is it about the person who's passed? So sometimes in terms of you going into someone's family and you want to see them, because you may feel guilty because you didn't see because you were meant to come and you didn't come. So sometimes, so your intention isn't about bringing comfort to the family. It's about bringing comfort to yourself. And in that moment, at times, that you need to ensure that you are remembering that they're also going through it. And and I'll leave it there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let me catch up with a couple of points that were made over here. So Angela said, Winston's Wish is a charity that produces some books on loss. My mum was in and out of hospital. I talked to them about the eventual death of my mum. When she died, they chose an item that they wanted. Oh no, my screen jumped. Chose an item that they wanted. My daughter. That they wanted. My daughter chose her walking stick. My son chose a box covered in shells that she had on her dressing table. I referred them to a 2-day non-residential weekend held in Kent that explored loss and how to deal with it. Just prior to going to bed on the final day, my son said, "When Grandma died, I thought my heart was breaking. Now it's beginning to mend. When she died, and even now, I talk about the faith that Grandma had in Jesus and the hope of the resurrection. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
very
yeah,
beautiful. I think that's a great
they met
thing.
them. Yeah, they
Yeah,
met
that
them
she
where
did.
they were. Yeah. So Martin says the problem often arises when we confuse what we do for ourselves and what we do for the benefit of others. That's your point there, Charlie. That's an interesting. See, these are very interesting, subtle things that you wouldn't, or I wouldn't, or one wouldn't stop and analyze and think about it. But are they really just doing this for the person that's grieving? I say the family member that's grieving, or themselves.
And you know, one of those things are when you go to someone's house that's just lost someone and you expect them to feed you.
Well, you see, there's some
Well,
cultural things there that
yeah,
happen
yeah.
sometimes.
I'm gonna yes, I'm gonna address the feeding. One sec. Let me just read this comment from Angela, and then right. My mum used to say, if you don't know, yeah, we all had the same mum there, Angela. If you don't, if you don't know what to say, shut up. My mum said that to me as well. When my mum died, an elder in the church said, "You must have got used to the idea." Is it the same man that was at your house, Selene?
Probably.
When my mum died, an elder in the church said, "You must have got used to the idea because she was sick for a long time." Okay, said to Angela about her mum because she was sick for a long time. So you're used to the idea that she was going to go. I had to restrain myself. I wanted to eat him. This is an elder in the church, you know. Um, Martin says, in response, I wanted to come on to your point. And Martin said exactly that. Then bring food to share.
When my mum died and people kept asking what happened, I was so drained after the first few inquiries that I just cut and pasted a response of a crying emoji and praying hands.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
that
like
was my
people,
point.
yeah,
once you say, "What did they die of? Death?" You know, you can't. It's so the people die in different ways, and I
yeah,
know and I understand the shock and
yeah,
the horror. Like, oh, what happened? But how did it happen? But it's just like time and place.
yeah,
It will come to let
yeah,
people just sit in the moment. Give people
yeah.
the space to sit in the moment.
Absolutely. I was going to make a point about what happens in some cultures. So
The food, about the
with
food.
with some cultures, that is what is expected. You turn up, you don't turn up with your empty hands. You bring something with you in terms of food and drink, because a lot of people will turn up, if you, and especially if you know a lot of people will turn up to the home. So it's not a strain on the family that there. You bring food along with you, and you turn up with. I mean, a friend of mine died 3 years ago, and I did the same thing. That's what I was brought up with. So I turned up, and I turned up with food and drink, and other people had. And as soon as I got through the door, there was somebody there that said, "Oh, thank you." So you go with bags. They know it. They expect that it's for them. And somebody was in charge of putting it in the kitchen. I did the same when my parents died. Put it in the kitchen, and people had some refreshments when they came around, and that was very convenient. So for some cultures, that's the norm. To turn up and bring something with you. It's not a party, but there's a practical reason why people are bringing food along, because others will come. So
And
yeah,
also the person that yes, that is the case, but also the person themselves, they probably, if they're going through grief and loss, they don't want to stand if no even if nobody else is there, they don't even want
precisely.
to stand and then cook a
Cook,
meal.
yes, and
They're going to want to just put a hand in a cupboard and eat biscuit if you haven't brought something
precisely, and the
that they
food is
can.
also for them. So some
Yes,
people will turn up with cooked food that
yeah,
can be put in the fridge, and it's for the families, for the person who's died. It's very practical to do that sort of thing.
yeah.
um so I don't know this current generation whether they do that, or I don't know, I really don't know. But certainly for myself, that's what I was brought up on. um
Angela says, I always bring food when there is a loss. when they are grieving, they don't feel like eating, so they must have so they'll take any excuse not to then go and cook. Oh, I can't be bothered, but the food is there. They and I also, she said, make this point. I also always make my visit brief. Now, the other side of that is that you could want someone to spend a long time, but you don't necessarily. I guess everybody's going to be different. You've got to read the room, because some others might want you to spend a long time, but just sit. But you've got to read the room, haven't you?
It's a reading the room
You've
thing.
got to really read the room.
Absolutely. And here's why. Depends on the circumstances. You go to somebody's house, they have a tiny flat and it's full of people. If everybody's staying for hours, it might just be too much. There's no space, you can't move, what have you. Back to my own situation, we had people coming in and going out. So there was a flow of people coming in and going out, to the point where there was a little quorum of men that would argue about whatever. And some of them had a little tipsy. So they stopped on the way because it was a Christian home and they knew they weren't going to get any alcohol at our house. So they stopped on the way, had a little tipple, and they came, and we would listen to them, what they were talking about, and actually some of it was quite funny. So between my siblings and cousins, we would laugh about some of the things that they were talking about. But that was, for me, and my cousins, that was something we could laugh at. But my brother spoke recently and said that he didn't like that. He didn't like that because most of the people he didn't know who they were. And he found that overwhelming, that the house was full of people that he didn't know.
And that goes back to the sorry, Mark. That goes back to the original point you made in terms of the difference between loss and grief. So we've all experienced the loss, but we all want to grieve differently. So not everybody wants a whole house full. Some members of the family want, or some people want just family there. Other people want family and friends. So it's actually being able to, because it's a balancing act. Because especially when you have a big family and it's not just one person, and everyone has to be involved in terms of the planning and everything else. That's also something that you have to go through as part of the process as well. How do we come together? How do we find that balance that makes that we all will be okay as well?
You have to read what's going on, and maybe you stay for a short while, and depends on how close you are to the family members or that are left behind. That might differ as well.
Okay.
All right. Good. No. I was. We're looking at each other here because what I was going to say is I'm going to segue onto something else now. But before we go, I'm going to ask Charlie to read, because you got a couple of messages.
Yes. So, Xavier, on top of bringing something for people who come, we also bring some for the family to have after everyone leaves.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were saying that, weren't we? So that they can have food that's already prepared in the fridge, they can access.
What about coming with your belly full so you don't have to eat the food at the people's house? But anyway, different. Totally different.
Because the idea is you're not coming for your dinner.
Don't let Charlie draw you down.
No. But anyway,
I get it. No, we get it.
You know what it is when you see, and when you see people turn up, two hands swinging with an expectation, and they leave, and then sometimes they leave, and the family then have given you what other people have brought for them because they haven't even been to the shops, and you just think sometimes that little bit of forethought for others before. But let me read Sharon's comment as well. She says, we need more awareness on what to say and what not to say. We need more awareness on what to say and what not to say.
Okay.
A friend lost her baby. The same week, a male relative asked her while she was still crying
Oh.
as she was young enough to have another child.
No, okay. We've dealt with the insensitive guys, the elder at Angela's church.
Bring them come.
We've-
Bring them come.
Whoa! And my wife says I need a course. No, 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 no.
Wait,
See,
do we? You know what?
I've
We
done the
do,
foundation already. I've got.
or, well,
Hold
let
on.
me say something here.
Okay, let me just read Angela.
Oh yes, you
I
go.
wonder if it's the same baby. A couple lost a baby recently at my church. I wonder if it's the same baby. I dropped food off. The lady said, Angela, that dish felt just like a hug. This is it. We've got to read the room. And because what I do, remember your point, Len, what I do want to move from us being the person to comfort or not, or say the most inappropriate thing to those that have loss and are experiencing grief, to focusing on us if we are the aggrieved ones. But we mustn't go with our long hand. Some of us people, and I deliberately,
Yes, I know.
right, some of us people go with an expectation, because expectation to eat, it's a disgrace. Because there is that culture. So all we're saying really is that, okay, so we go with the expectation to eat, then also go with the expectation to bring lots of food so you can share, if that is your expectation, and then you bring something extra for the family to have. All we're saying is be mindful.
What's your intention what's your intention of the visit? If the intention of the visit is to pour into those that you're going to, then the way in which you interact with them should be evident of that. Therefore, the fact that you're going to give them something, or you're going to give them your time, your resources, your act of love, whether it's in whatever you've done, then you give. You know what I mean? If you take a glass of water, you take a glass of water is one thing, but you know what I mean, to go there like it's a invitation to come to my house and let's no. You just sit in the moment.
Just sit in the moment. That's the summary of that session. So Lenny, you were going to make a point there.
What was my point? My point was
It was after Sharon made the point about a friend lost her baby the same week. A male relative asked her why.
about what to say.
Yeah.
You do not have to say anything bar, I'm so sorry. That will do. In any circumstance, that will do. I'm so sorry. You may embrace them, depending on who they are to you, etc. You know, some cultures will just say, sorry for your loss. I know Americans seem to do that a lot. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry is enough to say when you come to somebody's home, or you see the person left behind, the family members, the spouse, or whoever it is. That's all you really need to say at that point, and just be there. This whole thing about coming for dinner, coming for food, I'd never heard. This is kind of newish for me. But here's the other side of it. The family members who are left behind, it's normal for them in many cultures to offer whoever comes through your door a drink, and maybe also something to eat. Maybe not a meal, you know, not a big nosh up, but just, it's normal. That's cultural. In this society, it's English people, you meet them and immediately it's, would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea? That's the next thing that gets said. So it's normal for, if people are coming to your house, to say, oh, would you like a drink? And then if they're staying for what, that's normal for in many cultures. So the other side of it is that the family may want to, the people coming through the door, that's normal for them to offer somebody a drink. So having drink in the house is going to be useful. I do remember
choice.
It is a personal choice.
Segueing.
It is a personal choice. And Mark wants to move on. I just wanted to say one quick thing. I do remember my uncles bringing drinks to the house. Now he knew that there were going to be some folks from down the club, so he brought some beer, and So he had soft drinks and he had alcohol. And, my mum was like, oh, you've got this alcohol in the house. She was, just conscious of the fact that, we didn't. But he brought the alcohol because he knew his guys were coming to spend a little bit of time and they didn't have, they're not going to get alcohol at our house. So he was doing what he thought was the right thing. And it rubbed some people up the wrong way. But he's thinking, well, they're not going to have that. And these guys are going to kind of want a little bit of, I don't know, Guinness, whatever. And so he made provision for them. So each family dynamics will be a little bit different. But the thing is to read the room, be alert to know, well, there's many, many people in here, or it's very, very crowded, very, very noisy, or what have you, and act accordingly. But really thinking about the people who are grieving and that they have the loss and not yourself. If we bear that in mind, we're not going to go far wrong.
You got one there?
Oh yeah, sorry. Dawn says it's when they draw out the dominoes. It's going to be a long night. Read the room and know when it's time to leave.
To leave the party. Know when it's time to leave the party. Yeah. That's a cultural thing that we're talking about there. So I'm gonna flip it from the us going there now to offer our condolences and offer support and for those that are grieving and experiencing a loss. And I'm saying that we're now experiencing the loss. So now we're coming back now. What are some of the things that we should think of if we are experiencing the loss? What are some of the things we should think of and about how we navigate this period of time? So we're coming up into the holiday season, and we could take this holiday, we could look at it for any holiday season, but we're coming up to this holiday season and we're thinking of, okay, Mark, you've suffered a loss, you're in a period of grieving. What are some of the tips that we can consider about helping to manage our grief? Now, I've got a couple of points that I wrote down here, and we can expound on them and talk about them a little bit. But you're now the person going through the loss. You're the person grieving. It said, for the holiday period, the first note I've got here is plan ahead. Plan ahead. Don't go into the period almost reacting to whatever is being offered or whatever is going on. So have an idea in your head about what you'd like to do and how you'd like to navigate the holiday period. It says here, bereaved individuals who experience the most difficulty with the holiday season are those who have given little thought to the different challenges that they can encounter. Consider ahead of time what may be expected of you, both socially and emotionally, as well as your own preferences. So I read that to say, I'm the person suffering the loss, I'm the person that's grieving, but don't just sit and say, well, I'm the person that's grieving, so Charlie and Eleni must do what I want and be totally aware of my circumstances. And yes, we've said now we're the ones looking on, we must read the room, but I should have some kind of plan how I'm going to navigate the season, the season of the holiday season. He says, even if your plan is just become aware of what might be expected of you if you do go to the family gathering for Christmas, if you do go to the work friends, or if you do whatever the university friends or wherever or whatever if you do go somewhere where these people are going to be, what is going to be expected of you both socially and emotionally. And also make sure that you've got some kind of idea of what your own preferences would be, because sometimes you can go without the thought and then you're hit with something and you're reacting to that and people say, oh, Greasy's a bit touchy, isn't he? But if you know clearly I don't want to be around anywhere where guys are getting drunk.
Mm.
I don't want to be around anybody that's going to say things like you get him off your hand, or you're young enough to have another baby, or the inappropriate. I know that a couple of my work friends, or a couple of my old college friends, or a couple of my church friends just say the inappropriate thing, and then they are now the ones inviting me round. I can choose not to go. Don't put myself there and then expect them to change. And remembering that we've spent a long time saying, if you're the one inviting the person with the grief, read the room. Don't just be. So the onus is on everybody. The onus is on everyone to say how they should behave and how they can navigate this season. So plan ahead is the first item on my list here.
Can I come in?
Make sure that
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Make sure that you are aware of what is going to be expected of you socially and emotionally, and make sure that you have itemized what your own preferences might be. All right, go on. Let me take your point, Len, before I move to the next thing.
So I think we all need to be aware of this time of the year. The reason is, Charlie made the point at the beginning. If you're going to have this is going to be the first anniversary of the person's death, or you've got say a wedding anniversary, and this is the first time you're going to be alone since the person died, what have you. Their anniversaries and anniversaries for many of us will bring up the feeling of grief and the loss that we experience, etc. However, because the whole country, the whole nation is at this time is celebrating, and I say the whole, I just mean en masse, the body of the Christ in general will be celebrating at this time of the year. We all need to be aware for those who, for this season, is the first time they're going to be alone without the person, their loved one. So we can do something about that. Look around for the people who, in the middle of the year, they lost their partner, their spouse, or a child, or somebody very close to them. Look around and see who's out there who might appreciate an invitation at some point in the season to come round. So we can all be part of that, reading the room, our own rooms around us beforehand, and planning ahead beforehand, just anticipating, maybe ask the question, what will you be doing for the festive season? Or you can ask that question, you can invite somebody round. If it's for yourself, I think yourself need to give yourselves grace. You need to decide that, okay, think about, first of all, before you make the decision, what you would like and what you wouldn't like, as Mark said. But if you're somewhere and you become overwhelmed for any reason, allow yourself the grace to excuse yourself and go home, or whatever it is that you need to do. Because people, let's say it's a year on, and there'll be people who will around you who think, okay, it's a year on, she seems okay, not crying as much, for example. So yeah, she's fine. But at that, you get into a meal or what have you, and you suddenly feel overwhelmed. You start to think about your loss, and it's okay to excuse yourself if you need to. Because we used to believe that loss had grief had 5 set stages, and you went from one to the other, denial, anger, bargaining, etc., depression, and then you finally accepted. But we now know it doesn't go that way. So you might go through a couple of stages where you can't believe it's happening, and then you start to move towards
Yeah, you jumped to my
accepting.
number 7 now.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you go ahead with your number 7. Well, your number 2.
Number 2 first.
Yeah, you go ahead.
But that was really the give yourself permission to allow yourself breathing space and expect fluctuation in your mood and perspective, which is very much you felt that you were going to be all right. I was kind of building up. So you've done that thing where I know what's going to be expected of me emotionally or socially if I go to such and such a place. But if you find that you're okay with that, but if you find that you get there and it's overwhelming, it's all right for you to then say, this is more than I thought. This is more than I thought it would be, and I'm struggling to handle it, and that's because you're in that grieving period. It's okay to leave. You don't have to sit through it because you now turned up, and anybody that expects you to needs to go on the same course that I went on sometime many years ago. Don't look at me like that, Charlie. Okay, all right. I'm gonna
actual course you went on.
No.
Okay.
It's just that Len always tells me that I need the course. So,
I don't think there's one been written.
For
your needs.
Martin Filbert says the degree of pain is the degree of pain. Oh, woo! It's you, Charlie. You've got me all discombobulated. The degree of pain felt is directly proportional to the value of the person lost. Yes.
Absolutely.
The point is not to avoid feeling the pain. Perfect. But how to manage it. Yes. Living in a state of grace honors the deceased. Oh, Seymour. Honors the deceased. Number 2, his second point. You are not a burden if it gets too much and you need help. Yes. Often, grace given to others is more valuable than grace received. And perhaps doubly so when you are the one hurting. Very good point, Martin. Very good point. And it's all coming together. It's saying, and some of these points that now that we skip down, that I can probably, we kind of understand, so I can probably just brush through these ones quite quickly. So, I want you to keep in mind, so we are the ones grieving now, right? So you've got to really have a plan. Don't just fall into certain invites. Know exactly what will be expected of you if you say yes to this date or no, emotionally and socially. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Because it says bereaved individuals who experience the most difficulty, Ellen can tell us if most is a fair word there, most difficulty with the holiday season are those who have given little thought to the challenges that they may encounter. Consider ahead of time what may be I'm reading my plan ahead again.
But you know, I think what sometimes...
Because they finish with plan ahead.
What I think sometimes is difficult with that, though, is that you may plan and say, actually, I may be okay because this was one of our favorite holidays.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. So the plan is, actually, I'll be busy, but and then you walk into the supermarket, someone whiffs past you and you smell something, and that's their smell. And boom, it hits you.
Yeah.
And that's something you can't plan for because that's the unexpected. So there's certain things you can plan for.
Yes.
But then there's what about the unexpected?
Well, this was
the. Am I jumping ahead?
Yeah, you're jumping straight to the one that you ladies just want to get to the certain. What number?
Well,
is it?
well,
1,
you know,
2, 3,
Charlie,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You guys are just wanting to get to number 8, and that is the one.
Mark, can I interject? Because Charlie's absolutely right. You may not have planned for it. And this is why we have to remember that grief is individual.
Yeah.
So you have planned, you think, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on my own. I want to be with friends and blah, blah. And then you go off and be with friends. And then you suddenly, something hits you, something triggers you, something reminds you of the loss. And you think, I don't want to be here.
Right.
That's okay. We've said it. Give yourself grace to excuse yourself and to do what it is that you need in the moment.
Yeah.
That's really important, because there really are no stages. It's a whole process. So you've planned and you think you're okay to go off to do that, and suddenly you start to experience something that you were experiencing 6 months ago. It's all okay. It's your journey.
Yeah.
And give yourself the grace to go through your own journey.
Well, I have another 40 minutes, so I'm going to do numbers 2 to 7.
Go for it.
So no.
There is music.
There is music. We can play the music. I should have just read number 8 at 8 o'clock and then played music for the next 2 hours. Now, the one that we seem to really be, I wouldn't say congregating around, but that can't be the right word. But the number that we're coming to is give yourself permission to be. That is, allow you've made the plans. You've thought what I know what's needed, expected of me if I go to this place. I know I can handle it. I know, but if you go and then you find yourself triggered, allow breathing space and expect fluctuation in your mood and perspective. The bereaved work overtime. Not only is life more complicated, but all energy is siphoned into mental and emotional resolution. Grieving is nature's way of healing the mind and heart from the greatest injury of all. Allow yourself the privilege of limping until your wounds have healed and you can learn to run again. So we expect that we're going to get through it. We know we're fine. I know what's going to be expected if I go around to Mark's. I know who's going to be there. I know, and it's all the perfect group. And you get there and oh, grief. I just can't manage it. I'm not all right. And that's fine. You don't feel less than for having to excuse yourself. And you don't feel less than for saying, I've got to sit through this. And I guess all the other numbers kind of lead to that. It's accept your limitations. Grief consumes most of your available energy, no matter what the season is, no matter when in the year. The holidays place additional demands on your time and emotions. So plan to lower your expectations to accommodate the current need. Your circumstances have changed. Go on.
Yeah, I think with the Christian community, we can often, because we emphasize hope and victory and eternal life, this is one of the things that we struggle with. So we're not clinical about death and dying necessarily just clinical. We also think in terms of this is not the end. And having to have hope and feel victory, and we don't grieve like those who have no hope, is sometimes what people bring in terms of wanting to comfort you. And that's a real struggle in the body of Christ, because at that time you may be feeling this is unfair. Why? Looking for explanations, feeling that, I trusted God and God let me down. So people could be experiencing all of that as well. And so, somebody asked about, what to say and what not to say. It's to be there for that individual, because it's a path that we will all walk. Today it's mine, but tomorrow it's yours. And we struggle within that, because it's not in I made this point the other day at a program, that we were not created to experience death. That was never the plan. And that's another reason why we really struggle with the whole concept of death, of loss, and grief. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of spirit. People like to use the term spiritualizing.
Yeah, but yes. Okay, but we're coming back to being the person suffering the grief now, right? So that we must be mindful of spiritualizing when we are offering comfort to somebody else. But
also, the one who is going through the grief has to be minded of beating yourself up about it as well.
Right.
So because your thought process may not be necessarily in line with with with
How you're feeling, you mean?
yeah,
So
so
emotionally, you're not. It's
emotionally
not
is,
aligned with what you think theologically, or whatever.
and
Yeah.
because you may find
Yeah.
yourself like, so sometimes you see a funeral, someone say like speaking in the present tense, like, and like, so sleep well, mum, or
Oh.
sleep well. You know, you see, but then, but I know better than that. I should do, but you know what I mean, because it's not the time to start beating up yourself
Yeah. Yeah. Because
on that stuff, because I think sometimes we put ourselves in that mental torment and we're
yeah.
tormenting ourselves with it. But sometimes we just have to let go and just rely on the prayers of those around us to carry us.
Yeah, because you see, if you've just lost somebody, that person is still very much in your thoughts and hearts and mind, very, very present. Still, you haven't. I remember having somebody saying, "Oh, you haven't let your sister go because I hadn't taken out her number out of my phone," and I'm like, "It's my phone, and um, it's her number." So I couldn't see why I needed to. I really couldn't see why I needed to. The person is still with you, emotionally. So there is no real need to then say, oh, I shouldn't say sleep well, or I shouldn't say anything that I feel that I need to, because this is
okay.
how the grief is affecting me at the same time. I'm still coming to terms with the loss.
Right. And I've got here: ask for and accept help. Ask for and accept help. So ex- accept offers of assistance with activities over the period, and that could be not just the period. Now, I think that's a whatever, whenever in the year: shopping, decorating, cleaning, cooking. Chances are that loved ones are always looking for a way to lessen your burden. Some people might say not really. At this time of year, allow those who care about you to offer their support in concrete ways. Inform others of your needs. Give family and friends the tools they need to help you through the break. Be specific with them about your preferences and desires and keep them up to date when those needs change. But build in flexibility. So I guess what they're saying here is that you're grieving, you're going through all these emotional changes, you're not quite sure what your mood is going to be, you're in a state of flux, and the grief is what's helping you to realign. And are you reading somebody's comment, or are you just
Yes,
having a
I
little?
am.
Okay,
Sorry.
we'll take that in a sec. Right. So you're in that state of flux. So it says what you need to do to try and help yourself is to ask for and accept help. If there's an offer to help, accept it. And do not be afraid to ask your family or your friends, loved ones, those around you, ask them, can you pick up such and such at the store for me? Can you whatever, ask. Don't just isolate yourself. That we have already established that there are times when you might want to be on your own, but they actually say in this article here um, that there are you when you're going through grief, don't isolate yourself for too long. You've tried to get yourself back into some form of routine, not necessarily going to the football club, playing football, playing darts, but don't just sit and in
Yeah.
isolation for too long.
I think it's more allow yourself, because when you say to anybody, try and do, and that can bring about the feeling of pressure. Oh, I should be doing this. But if you're allowing yourself, you're giving yourself the option of saying, okay, well, I can say to my church brethren, actually, I'd find this really useful, or no, I don't want to stay after church for fellowship lunch. Allowing yourself to have that, allowing yourself to have the choice of where you are as you go through your process of grief.
Yeah.
Isolation, but that doesn't mean to say isolation isn't, it is, I'm disagreeing with, trying not to be by yourself all the time, because there are some people that was part of their norm anyway. They didn't like crowds. anyhow. They weren't the people that went to every event. They had their quiet life, and they may be able to grieve within the scope of who they are normally, even if
Yeah.
the circumstances change.
Yes, but I'm more looking at, so if I'm going to, how do I get through this holiday period if I'm
Mm,
grieving?
yeah.
So if you were the type of person that lived alone and really didn't like crowds anyway, you were always by yourself, then and then your partner died. Or let's say you lived with your partner and your partner died, but you rather be on your own anyway, then you're not going to have that same problem with going out to be with somebody over the holiday period because you wouldn't have gone anyway.
No, but you might feel it more then, because people are grouping off and the times around you are quiet or what have you. It may be that you want to do things like the scrapbooking and those sort of solitary um, activities. So you might be on your own, but you're doing something different at a
Yeah.
time where you would have been with the person you lived with. So now that might be the time that you play the music that you liked and they liked, and maybe go to places that they like. Sometimes people find that very comforting, to do that because of where they are in their journey. Oh, we always went to such and such a lake around Boxing Day or whatever, and they might want to do that. They might find that comforting. So it's very much about what suits you within the scope of what you can manage at the time, um, to be your guide, and the
Okay.
others of us keep our eyes open.
Yes,
If
I
we
mean that
find,
that is something that's
yeah,
coming through. That's something that's coming through right from the beginning and right till now. Is that it's incumbent on me to read the room as the one offering comfort to the grieved, and also incumbent on me as the one who is suffering from grief to read the room and realize if I should or should not even be in the room. But Charlie, you've got a message there that you.
It says Charlie saying 1,000 words with those facial expressions.
Oh,
I think and he had said something, and I just wonder why some people can't mind their business and just leave people. Let people be.
yeah, yes. People should let people be, and we've spoken about that, reading the rooms and not always having to say and to speak and whatever. But what we're saying is that if you are going to help, what's the best way? Martin made the point. You made the point. Ellen made the point that we sometimes they just need someone to sit and be with them. But you've got to read. Is that what they need? You made the point. Am I going to offer comfort for them or for me? So so what is it that they need at this point? And then it's saying ask for and accept help. So you're the one doing the grief, doing experiencing the loss. So say, Charlie, come round please, and we'll just sit and watch something on Netflix. Charlie, come round please, and we'll cook. Charlie, come round please, and we'll just sit. Go on.
So I listened to a gentleman speak about the loss of his wife, and he said one of the things that he learned through that season for himself was, he said, everybody asks you that one question. If there's anything I can do, let me know. He said, if I'm honest with you, I didn't know what I need.
yes,
But
exactly.
but he said one thing I didn't realize I needed that I got. Oh dear, sorry. Oh dear Lord, sorry. One thing that I didn't realize that I needed that I got was someone turned up with food. So
Okay.
they didn't ask me what I needed, but they turned up with a tray of food so that I didn't even have to think about what I needed to eat for
Right.
that.
What he needed, but
But
somebody else keeping their eyes open looked at and thought they need some food.
so
Yeah.
This is something that, yeah.
Because he said you would never. He said everybody says it, and since heard him say that,
Mm.
I've tried to be very intentional with that whole. Is there anything I could do for you? That line that we all use, and we genuinely mean it,
Anything.
but actually they in
Anything.
that moment can't process that, because really what they really want to do is take a duvet, maybe cuddle up in the corner and let the life just pass them by. But actually, if you say, right, well, you need to go to that appointment to drop off the death certificate, I'll take you. And not that I'll take you and walk in with you and I want to know what's going on. In terms of literally, I'm just a driver. I'll just drive you. I tell you what, you don't even think about the driving today. I'll drive. I've got a day off. I'll drive you from appointment to appointment. And you just put music on in the background, so you don't really have to even talk. And they can talk if they want to because the music isn't that loud. But just giving them that,
Yeah.
you don't need to think about,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
here for you.
We're
Yeah,
keeping
yeah.
our eyes open.
Oh,
We are
yeah.
our brothers and our sisters' keepers. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes the person who don't know what you want. I remember preparing to go to my sister's funeral, and I was in the house, and so I'm going to London the night before. And I can't think, I've got to pack my things that I need for the funeral and for that night, and anything else that I had to bring. Um, I had made a cloth to go over her casket and things like that. And so I'd organized that over a period of weeks. But now this is the night where it's the afternoon, I'm having to pack things to go to London for the funeral the next day. And I spun and turned in that house like a gig. I didn't know what to do. I know I have to pack the stuff and take it and organize and get down there, but I couldn't organize myself. And then suddenly the door knocked, and it was my friend Valletta. And Valletta just thought she said she's got to pack the stuff and she's got to bring stuff and she's got to put it all together and get down. And I'll never forget it, because she turned up and that wouldn't be normal for her. She would have rung me or text me and said, "Oh, I'm in the area. Should I drop by, or where are you?" or something. That's what would happen on a normal day. But she's heard earlier in the week, that what I said my schedule was going to be before the funeral, and turned up with an orchid in one hand, came in. And I said, "Yeah, oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. Oh, this beautiful. You've come around. You're like an angel right now. I'm trying to pack, but I don't know what to pack. I don't know how to pack it." I was experiencing confusion, which is one of the symptoms that you can experience. A common reaction was confusion for me. And she said, "Right, so you needed this, you needed that. Have you packed the this? Have you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah." But it really helped me. And I had everything there in the house that I needed. I didn't know what to put in first or what to put in. I total confusion. And just her being there, seeing that, thinking, "Oh yeah, she said she's got to go down," that just helped. It helped me so much, and I will never forget that, because that was how I was able to get out of the house eventually and get into the car and get to London, because I had that help at the time, because her eyes were open. She was seeing what I needed when I didn't know.
And I think that's why that sentence that you just read, because I think you, I can only imagine not having an understanding or full meaning of what you need in that moment. So because just knowing that someone else is thinking on your behalf for you, so you don't have to make 5 million decisions, or just is enough for that moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So I was just looking through my list, because, as is always the case, you all just take over my list and just shoot to number 7 when I'm on number 2. But one of the things that have come out of our conversation that I'm quite aware of, is that we should take the time to honor our loved one. So we are the one grieving, right? We're not the ones offering the comfort. We are the one grieving. Take the time, which I think my friend was doing all those years ago with her cat. Take the time to honor the memory of your loved one. Don't rush it. Yeah, Eleni has mentioned that there's no time on it. We talked about the 5 stages of grief, whereas now we no longer talk about the 5 stages because it's just a process, and you are wherever you are on that spectrum. So honor your loved one, however you choose to honor them. Honor them. But one thing that when I said try to do something or something like that, I think Ellen, you made the point where you said no, you should say allow, because if you say try to, you're making them feel that they have to try.
Pressure.
They feel pressure that they must try. But just allow yourself to try. That's probably the next level of the course that I haven't yet gone on yet. But because I want to say you have to prioritize self-care during that period. Now, I know you can say allow yourself self-care, but I think if I'm looking at this about how I get through my grief, how I get that's what I'm looking at. And there might be some people that argue you shouldn't try to get through your grief. Just be in your grief if you're in your grief. And if you're not in your grief, you're not in your grief. But if I'm looking at how I've got to seek how I can prioritize my self-care. And what could that be? That might be just taking a shower. Taking a shower.
Absolutely.
Hold on. It might be allow yourself to feel joy. Allow yourself to feel sadness. Allow yourself to feel anger. And allow yourself, anger. Then it says, remember that grief and comfort can coexist. So we don't have to be one or the other. It can be fluid, because we talked a bit earlier on about flexibility. Flexibility. You might feel that you're ready to be in a crowd and agree to the party or the gathering over the Christmas, and then get there and not feel it, or getting ready for it, preparing to go. I've said I'm coming. I'm now getting myself ready, and then say, this is too much. So be flexible that way, and us now looking on must be big enough and reasonable enough to read that room. But yeah, so I've got prioritized self-care. Remember that your feelings of joy, sadness, and anger can coexist, but also take care of your body. Grief will take a physical toll on your body. So remember to eat well, rest well, and I didn't write this last note, but I smiled when I read it, and I forgot it was there, and now I'm seeing it. I'm going to laugh. It says, and avoid using drugs and alcohol in order to cope, because all they'll do is send you down another road. But it's nice that they pointed that out and put that in. Don't use that as the thing to get you through your grief, because it will hold you in your grief even longer. Okay. It says, seek family support. Seek support. No, not family support. Seek support from different supportive groups. That could be therapists, could be trusted people. If the weight is too heavy on you as an individual. Go on.
Can I also add, and also be careful with the support you're seeking from peers, because at times there will be people around you who are also needing to discuss their own grief. So as great as it is to have a common ground, you should never leave that exchange feeling worse than you went in.
Okay.
And some people haven't got the ability to not transfer what they're going through onto you. So you're in a bad space, and you've come for some sort of relief of a conversation, and instead you end up taking their load
weight
and your load, and you've gone off even in more despair than you came in the first place.
Yeah, but because we've talked about it, those people that have got the grief, the so you come to me with your grief and I offload me. Now, because we've talked about it, I now am not going to offload my grief on you because I'm going to read the room and I'm going to look at, don't look at me so disbelieving, like, are you having a laugh? I'm now going to be so self-aware that I'm now not going to transfer my grief on you who's suffering. I'm going to do all the things I need to do elsewhere. Because we've talked about it for 2 hours. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Can I just mention about self-care? I was just going to, well, I was going to agree, Mark. I know you went down your list, so you mentioned all the main things. But with self-care, I would definitely say you do need, everybody needs some level of routine at that time. So to help normalize your day, to get through your day. So this is why trying to get up and have a shower when you don't feel like it, or having something to eat, or maybe you don't feel like eating. Quite often people don't, but they might want to have something to drink, and keep hydrated. But having that level of routine will help you to manage your process, because it's the whole process of grieving, because it's going to be, especially at the early stages, a day by day thing. So if you can have a couple of things in your day where you do get up and have a shower, and get dressed and have something to drink in your day, that is going to help you, physically, cognitively as well, in terms of your thoughts, your brain fog and forgetting things, and like myself, not knowing how to pack a suitcase of things that I know I need to take. That's going to help. That certainly will help to have that level of routine, in your day, and treat it on a day by day basis. To each day, depending, you may be doing different things, for the day. Charlie mentioned having to go to register their death and things like that. But if you have a level of routine, that will help you to navigate your day.
And I think it's as you go through different stages of the whole process, i.e., the person who's just passed, then you go through the stage of have the planning stage. Then you go through the climax towards the funeral, and then you go post funeral, and everyone starts fading away because it's almost like, well, you should be okay now because they're now buried. Everybody goes back to their normal routine, and it's almost like the process starts all over again for you, because then you're left by yourself in your feelings and to deal with the fact that that person that used to call every Wednesday, now it's Wednesday and you can't call them again, and it just feels like, and then their birthday comes, and then you feel like you're starting it all. The first birthday, the first of everything. They said the first of everything is always difficult, because you have to, their first birthday, your first Christmas, your first anniversary without them. You know what I mean? All the first of everything, and then you feel like you start all over again. But it's not a race.
It's not a race, and I think that society does emphasize that. Oh, is this the first anniversary and this is the first birthday? And I actually feel that's not that helpful. I'm not one, and it's maybe because I'm not one that remembers in that way. So throughout the whole year, there'll be different things that I will remember that person for, because it may be, oh, we did this together or we did that together. But I try not to emphasize is this going to be the first Christmas? Because I'm planting that on somebody who may not be anticipating a terrible Christmas, for example, without the person. Not that it won't enter their mind, but I think that we emphasize firsts too much. I really do think we do, and maybe putting additional pressure on something that's coming anyway.
Yeah, Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap it up now, Len. It's been a wonderful conversation with you. Been able to sit and talk with you for 2 hours. It's excellent. Didn't know that I'd. Charlie, what's that look mean?
No. I don't know if you had come to a full stop or if
Well,
you had.
No, well, you see, your look arrested me. So I thought better of finishing my sentence. There's just a couple of unhelpful actions and words to use, and then I'll give the sort of a summary of thoughts that we've talked about for the last 2 hours. It is, oh, mine says, oh, it just cut out. So that's the end of that.
What cut out? Sorry, I didn't hear.
No, not the Zoom. The Zoom is still on, but I'm about to do my summary, and my sharing with social media on Facebook just cut out. But unhelpful actions and words. Do not make major decisions whilst you're grieving. Do not say, "I know how you feel," or "they're in a better place." These are some of the things that we were talking about.
Yes, I have a few here, but yes.
Do not offer unsolicited. Do not offer unsolicited advice. Do not offer unsolicited advice. Do not try to fix people in their grief. Do not try to fix it. Your job is not to fix it.
No.
What you need to do instead is feel your feelings, allow emotions to surface, even if those emotions are irrational. That's part of the process. Seek support and keep a routine. So yes, and then just in finishing, I'll just say some of the highlights that we talked about in the program. Some of the main points are: your presence is worth much more than your pronouncement. There are times to remember when it's okay to be there and quiet. Ask for help and accept help when you're grieving. Ask for it and accept it if it's been offered. Keep your eyes open to watch and around the room. Keep an eye on the room. Read the room. Never forget to honor your loved one. Always take the time to honor your loved one. Prioritize self-care. Never suppress your feelings. Faking it is only going to allow the process to linger. Always talk to kids in an age-appropriate way. I think those are the highlights. Those are the things that I took from our chat. Is there anything?
Can I offer two more? Can I offer two more because I think it's relevant for this society? Sorry, I know you're wrapping up now. I've got 30 seconds, but just two more things.
No, you've got more than 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, I would say, because of how life is now, our society, we're busy and we can often be very individual and isolated anyway, whether we're grieving. But don't take the emotional reactions of somebody who's grieving personally. They might be irritable, or they might want to withdraw or cry, or just their expressions is its expression of pain and not rejection of your help that you're trying to offer. And then lastly, don't avoid people, because this is a big one, I think. Don't avoid them because it's uncomfortable. Silence and distance can actually deepen their sense of isolation, especially after the death later on, if it's a death. But yes, that
okay.
Don't avoid them because it's uncomfortable.
Just remember that the 3 C's will reign. Choose: the power of choice, the power to connect, and the power to communicate. Okay, Lenny, it's been wonderful talking to you for 2 hours. We should do it again another day. And I'm going to let you all go now. Paul's here and he looks like, he's moved to a mic. Is that because you wanted to say something?
I did, actually.
Oh, go on then.
I've just come back from visiting someone who has lost a family member.
Oh, okay.
A close family member.
Yeah.
they're quite stoic
Okay.
about what had happened, quite accepting. It was her daughter, she lost her daughter. But I certainly did get the sense that she just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
And I've heard your summing up, so I wanted to ask just a supplementary question. What do you do when someone just wants to be left alone?
Okay. Now we did touch on that, and we said so. We talked about it from the point of view of you're grieving, and also that you're in the room with somebody else that's grieving. And what we said is that if you find that someone wants to be left alone as part of their process, your job is to give them that space to be alone. So what would help them whilst they're alone? Would it be that you need to bring food round? Do they want you to be around but not speaking? If they don't want you to be around, then you give them the space for that.
And Paul, also, you know, we the power of prayer for a person in any circumstances, it still applies to grieving as well, you know, and those who are grieving want to be left alone. It may also be quoting of scripture is very, very it's therapeutic for people. We if especially if you are in a place where you feel so crushed and you can't even pray for yourself, because people have said that I couldn't pray, I didn't even know how to pray. But reading a scripture aloud is very powerful. So one of the scriptures I love is Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are of a crushed spirit. So that reminder, that quoting of scripture is very, very powerful on our psyche in good times and in bad. So it's just something to remember. But we will pray for those. You pray for those who want to be on their own. You're always there for them, and you pray for them in their absence when you're not around them as well. Very important.
Okay. So that's it. It's our final After Dark for the year. It's our final After Dark for the season. So it's left for me to wish you a very, very good Christmas, a very, very good holiday season. And God willing, we will speak to you next year.
2026. Woohoo!
If it's His will. Oh, she can't see me.
Depression, negative thoughts, trauma, and uncertainty can all cause emotional imbalance. Don't struggle alone. CCS, your trusted confidential counselling service, is here for you. Call our listening line on 03301 332 945. Our office line for appointments on 020 7723 8050, or visit our website www.ccscounselling.org.uk.
Pretty cool.
Our counsellors speak various languages. CCS, a shoulder to lean on. We are here to listen.